feel so bright, I feel so gifted, I feel so high, I feel so lifted. By my side is where you're sitting, in my life is where you fit in, yeah. I never thought that I would get this far. I wanna drive around in the nice cars, I wanna forget about my scars and just have a good night. I smoke something down, I drink something down. I'm feeling it now, I'm feeling it now. I could say it out loud. When I see you, my heart goes whoa. I feel so bright, I feel so gifted, I feel so high, I feel so lifted. By my side is where you're sitting, in my life is where you fit in. I feel so bright, I feel so gifted, I feel so high, I feel so lifted. By my side is where you're sitting, in my life is where you fit in, yeah. I never thought that I would get this far. I wanna drive around in the nice cars, I wanna forget about my scars and just have a good night. I smoke something down, I drink something down. I'm feeling it now, I'm feeling it now. I could say it out loud. When I see you, my heart goes
Hi everybody, welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube and Twitch channels. And yes, I'm still awake. I have been awake for, I woke up at 20 to 2 this morning and it is now 6 something. So I've been awake for 16 hours or so. So that's fun. That's fun. I don't know why I decided, or why my body decided to wake up at 1:40 in the morning, but it did, and here I am still. It's been a day. It's been a day. So here I am. We are going to go over question period because parliamentarians are back. But before we do that, we're just gonna go over some headlines and talk a little bit and hang out. If you guys didn't see my video this morning, there are 11 teachers in Quebec out of a school called Bedford School in Montreal. The Quebec government is auditing that school plus three others because of a toxic environment where there are basically a group of teachers that have banded together and started going like 1800s level of discipline on kids and basically denying the existence of autism or any type of learning disability, not following through with education plans, refusing to teach oral communication, refusing to teach science, refusing to teach things like religion, refusing to teach sex ed, all that fun stuff. And like I said, this is an audit of not only Bedford School, but three other schools, two primary and one high school. And the most disappointing thing that's coming out of this is that these teachers are reported to be from a certain region of the world. It was so significant that the report actually reported it, that these were all from North Africa, and that they attended the same religious place of worship. They attended the same mosque, and the mosque had even met with the school administration and basically stressed the importance of connecting with the mosque in the neighborhood. And like, I get that. Like, I get, working with your local like community and stuff as a school, but like this seems to go far beyond that. And unfortunately, this group of teachers was pushing back against other staff members, even staff members from that same culture and religion, who were saying, hey, no, you can't do this. You can't push back. Like, you can't treat students like this. This is not okay. They were basically just ignoring those teachers and staff members, and it's a whole thing. It's a whole audit from the education minister of the PQ, which, I mean, we all say, oh, blame the French, but I mean, good for them for sticking up for the students. And quite frankly, I don't care where these teachers come from if they're not following the public education system and the curriculum and treating students with like basic decency. Then they need to be not just suspended but fired, and the system needs to be examined. And yeah, the whole thing needs to be examined. Hello, Spittlebuggies. Hello. Glad to have you here. So there's that headline out of Quebec. And then out of British Columbia, we have the election took place over the weekend for them. And it is so close that it's going to take another week of counting ballots to figure out who actually won the provincial election. It's so close between the New Democrats and the Conservatives. They are literally fighting over one seat. That's how close this is. The NDP right now have 46 seats. The Conservatives have 45. They're fighting over one seat. Neither government is going to be a majority government. And it's just up to the ballot counts now. The mail-in ballots, the absentee ballots, all that, to decide which party is going to be running British Columbia from now on. Well, not now on, but for the next 6 years or 4 years. So yeah, there's the BC the BC election is going on, or counting is going on, and now today the New Brunswick election is happening. So we're going to see what happens with that. If they go conservative, because right now I believe they're liberal. So that should be interesting to see. We won't know about that until at least tomorrow morning. We won't know what happens with the New Brunswick election. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. And the CBC's president has, she's supposed to be testifying before the House of Commons because the CBC got doled out $18 million in bonuses last year. It received most of that funding from the government. And then the president of the CBC went to Paris for the Olympic Games for the opening ceremony. She stayed for 4 nights and she billed the CBC $5,800 for the trip. She stayed at Paris's Paris bills it as the most luxurious 5-star hotel. Charges about 700 to 1,000 euro per night to stay there, and she stayed there 4 nights. And she charged $326 dinner to the CBC. She basically went on a vacation. She had a few meetings on her calendar, but the meetings she had on her calendar don't meet up with what everybody that was around her says she did. They're saying she did a lot more than her calendar shows. So I think they're trying to justify the amount of money she spent on the Olympic Games. And I mean, like, after you dole out $18 million in bonuses, I think maybe you should be a little bit more retrospective on what you're billing at the company. And she also had a private driver and everything. But it says, but she did walk to some of her meetings. It's like, ooh, good for her. Does she want a cookie? Does she want does she want working holidays shouldn't be allowed for government? I agree. They shouldn't be allowed, especially if it's a long weekend, like a 4-day weekend for the working public. It definitely shouldn't be a whole goddamn week for the government. The government was off for an entire week last week for Thanksgiving. That was unnecessary. I don't think that they should have been allowed to be that lazy, quite frankly. I think that that's sheer and utter laziness. And yeah, I think it's incredibly lazy. Okay, let me make sure we're at the right spot here for a question period. Okay. Now, this is going to be a spicy one, I think, because we've had the foreign interference testimony from Trudeau over the past week. We've had we've had the expulsion of the Indian diplomats. We've had a whole bunch. We've had the Liberals trying to figure out whether they're going to push Trudeau out or not. Carbon Tax Carney has said that he is going to step forward into elected politics. So he is actually putting his name into the hat. So Poilievre was right to call it out and say that Carbon Tax Carney, Mark Carney, is going to run. So let's jump into this insanity of question period here.
To the extent that the cost
Oral questions. Questions orales. L'honorable.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. After 9 years, this Prime Minister has doubled the cost of housing to the extent that the cost of a monthly mortgage payment in Quebec is $1,055 higher than it was 5 years ago.
$1,055 higher, not $1,055 a month. That would be a reasonable mortgage payment. No. $1,055 higher per month.
That's a 74% increase.
Wow.
And there's 2 million Canadians that have to go to food banks when this government is wasting our money and the government is paralyzed by this cover-up of a $400 million scandal. What is this Prime Minister doing? He's saving his skin and his own members. Can he trigger an election? The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Finance.
Oh, wow. Trudeau can't even be bothered to show up. Trudeau can't even be bothered to show up for question period. Oh, my God.
Mr. Speaker, I'm
Speaker.
happy that the Conservatives are starting with a question with respect to the Canadian economy.
Oh, so this time she's happy. She's not glad this time. She's happy this time.
Because I think that each of us can be happy that the inflation levels in September were at 1.6%. This is a great success for all Canadians.
Okay, but that doesn't affect the food cost or the mortgage rates because that's an inflated number.
It will truly improve the life of Canadians, but the Conservatives don't want to talk about Canadian successes. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Speaker, when Canadians are going through hell with doubling of housing costs
Oh, no.
and out of control
He
cost
said
of
hell.
living. What
That's unparliamentary. He said hell. Somebody stop him.
is the Prime Minister doing? He's trying to
Hey,
save his own
Michael.
skin, save his own members. And they're in a rebellion now. So he's not working for Canadians.
No, he's not.
He's working to save himself.
He's not wrong. He's the party, the Liberal Party is literally rebelling against Justin Trudeau right now. He's not doing anything to help Canadians.
It's strange. Even if the Liberals don't really have trust in this Prime Minister, the Bloc leader continues to have trust in this Prime Minister. Will the PM trigger an election finally so we can fix what he broke?
Nope.
The
Oh,
Honourable
wow.
Government
They're
House
not going to call him out for saying hell? Good.
Leader. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The question is why the Bloc leader, or the rather Conservative leader, is obstructing the House of this work. We won 2 confidence votes, and it's only the Conservatives that don't want to have another vote because they'll lose once again because this House does not have confidence in the Leader of the Opposition.
That's not how this works. It doesn't matter if the House has confidence in the Leader of the Opposition. The whole point about having confidence is you're supposed to have confidence in the Prime Minister, not the Leader of the Opposition.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
This weekend in Cloverdale, 15,000 people lined up in the pouring rain for the hopes that they might get a few rejected potatoes. It was Ugly Potato Day in that city. And 15,000 British Columbians are too hungry and desperate that they needed to go
Cooper said it before.
and collect those rejected foodstuffs. 2 million Canadians are lined up at food banks. There are 1,400 homeless encampments in Ontario today. And what is the Prime Minister doing? Working to save his political skin from his revolting caucus. This can't go on. Will he call a carbon tax election now?
He's wrong. He's not wrong. If your own party is losing faith in you, you need to call an election, and you need to do it now and just get it over with.
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I would really hope that every single MP in this House would agree that in our great country, no one should ever go hungry.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Is she really going to start off like this? Of course nobody in our country should go hungry. We have like ample farmland and fertile farmland, and like if you didn't tax the shit out of the farmer, then people wouldn't be going hungry.
But when Conservatives talk about the most vulnerable, they are crying crocodile tears.
Oh.
And how do I know that, Mr. Speaker? I know that because they have had the gall to vote against a national school food program.
Yeah, because we don't want crappy ass, shitty, no good lunches fed to our kids. We want to be able to pack our own lunches for our children. He said, what the hell is going on? 1 in 4 going to the food bank. Yep. 1 in 4 are going to the food bank. There are tons of homeless encampments in every province. Like, this is and as a parent, I do not want my children eating at a school food program. I want to be able to have a full fridge and full cupboard and not have to go to the grocery store every other day or so because you can't afford to spend a lot of money to like fill everything, right? Like
A program that will feed 400,000 Canadian kids. How can they look themselves in the
400,000,
face when they
that's a
oppose
small
feeding
city.
Canadian kids?
Yes, that's right.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
That program, though it has costed millions, has not fed a single hungry child. It has fed bureaucracy, which is all it ever was intended to do. Meanwhile, 2 million people are lined up at food banks. We've got 15,000 people that will line up for a, quote, ugly potato because they can't afford to eat.
Yeah. When you've got 15,000 people lining up for food stuff that can't be sold because it's quote cosmetically damaged, that is unacceptable.
We have diseases like scurvy that are back.
Yep.
And 1 in 4 kids go to school hungry after 9 years of this Prime Minister, yet his priority is saving his political career from his revolting caucus. This cannot go on. Will he call a carbon tax election today?
Yeah, he should be there. He's not in Samoa where he was supposed to be. He should be there. But he's not there.
Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives are damning themselves with their own words. I was at a school in downtown Winnipeg on Friday. I was there with Premier Wab Kinew, and we gave those beautiful, wonderful children.
Those beautiful, wonderful children. Think of the children, Mr. Speaker. Oh, think of the children. Those beautiful children whose souls I want to eat for breakfast. Oh, I'm sorry. She said the quiet part out loud.
Some bannock, a little carton of milk, some jam, children, some bannock, a little carton of milk,
bannock?
some jam, some butter, and a banana.
That is a horrible lunch. Bannock, milk, jam, and a banana and butter? What the fuck fuck lunch is that?
That was not bureaucracy that fed those kids. That was
That's
the
not feeding. That's like 100 calories in total.
deal we've done with Manitoba. The Conservatives are just feeding kids.
That's like 100 calories. That's not a lunch.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Are you kidding me? She says that the Canadians should be happy that while 1 in 4 kids go to school hungry, while 2 million people line up at food banks, while scurvy is making a comeback after 9 years of this government, Canadians should be grateful that she showed up with a few snacks and a photo op at one school. Mr. Speaker, this is the same finance minister who has just blown back $7 billion past her deficit target, meaning more inflation and higher rates. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister hides in the fetal position under his desk. Will he call a carbon tax election now?
Thank you, Polyev. He is not putting up with this shit for a second. Not for 1 second. Is he putting up with that shit? Rocking balls.
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, we have clearly knocked the Leader of the Opposition off his game.
How? How? He just ripped you apart. How have you knocked him off his game?
Because how can he have the temerity to talk about actual meals?
I'm sorry, you call Bannock? What the fuck is Bannock even? Jam, butter, banana, and a 75 milliliter carton of milk. What do you... That is not a meal. Yeah, fresh local produce, butters, like...
Fed to actual children as bureaucracy. That tells you how cynical and how low these Canadians go. And then...
Oh, she just said Canadians instead of Conservatives.
Bureaucracy. That tells you how cynical and how low these Canadians go. And then he talks about inflation. Mr. Speaker, it's been in the Bank of Canada's target range for 9 months in a row. It fell below 2%.
Does that doesn't show at the grocery store or the gas pump? Or in the bills.
In September, and rates have come down 3 times. That's what's happening with inflation, Mr. Speaker.
A nice bowl of soup with that. Yeah, like actual meal.
The
Honourable Member for La Prairie. Where's the pilot on the Liberal plane? It's October 21st. They only have 8 days left to pass C-319 and boost seniors' pensions. Otherwise, they'll be heading to an election. Pension increases. The Conservatives are for it. The NDP is too. 79% of Canadians are for it. And even the Liberals voted for it at committee. There doesn't seem to be a Liberal pilot. And they just have 8 days to go.
Calm down. Everything's gonna be fine. That is airplane, right? that is airplane, right?
Is that why the Liberals want to kick their leader out?
Ooh.
The Honourable Minister of Employment. Mr. Speaker, thanks to the Canadian government, the Liberal government, we have been able to bring the retirement age down to 65, and we increased the GIS. And we have been able to help hundreds of millions of Quebecers
Hey, CW.
with dental care. And this has allowed us to bring the poverty level down for seniors well below the national average.
Oh, really? The poverty level is down, is it? In the poverty level in Quebec is down, huh? Where? There are seniors living in their cars. Oh my God, this is... How can you say that?
Without the support and help of the Bloc. The Honourable Member for La Prairie. Guess who hasn't said a word yet about C-282, blocked by 2 senators?
Justin Trudeau.
The Prime Minister himself. He has never asked Peter Boehm or Peter Harder to do their job. Not a word. They're too busy removing the daggers from their backs.
Oh.
Yet, not only did he appoint 2 senators, he also has a personal relationship with Peter Harder. He's already called him personally several times for advice. Can he now call his buddy Peter and tell him to do his job?
The 2 Peters, apparently, are causing all of this problem. Cheese, please. Yes. Cheese and eggs. Among the French.
The Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. My colleague knows perhaps that the reason why we're talking about supply management in Canada, it's because there was a Liberal government that did establish supply management for Quebec and the rest of Canada.
And then the Conservatives
reason why
broke it.
we haven't, negotiations with the Trump government negotiated with the Liberals, and this is how we were able to fight tooth and nail for supply management and Canadians.
What the fuck was that? Part of that was the bad translation, but also part of that was that person had no idea what they were saying. What does Trump have to do with anything?
The Honourable Member from Burnaby South.
Mr. Speaker, country first, party second. According to the RCMP...
Oh my God. Really? That's coming from you? Wow, you hypocrite.
Country first, party second. According to the RCMP, the Indian government hired thugs to terrorize Canadians. The Conservatives are laughing about this, but people have...
No, they're laughing at you. They're not laughing about what the Indian government did. They're laughing at you, Mr. Singh, because you just said something so outrageous, because you literally have not put the country first at all. So it's very laughable that you would say that.
As a result, and they've meddled in our politics. The Prime Minister has said that there are multiple Conservative MPs and or candidates compromised.
And he lied.
They may be sitting in the chamber right now, but the Conservative leader chooses ignorance. Has the Prime Minister directly urged the leader of the Conservatives to get his security clearance?
Oh my God. Are we really gonna play that game? Are we really gonna go this way? Please, Polly,
Honourable Minister for Public Security.
Mr. Speaker, we thank our honourable colleague for the question. We've been clear. We think all party leaders in this House should have the required security clearance so they can receive information concerning the threats to this House or the threats to Canada involving foreign interference. We also take the comments of the leader of the NDP very seriously with respect to protecting Sikh Canadians and protecting those who've been victims of this foreign interference by the government of India. My responsibility as Public Safety Minister is to ensure the safety of all Canadians, and that's exactly what we're going to continue to do.
That's a nothing burger answer, if I ever heard one. That is a complete nothing answer. And I really hope Polyev says something.
The Honourable Member for Burnaby South.
First, party second. I dare the Conservatives to laugh again. I see they're not. They're quiet.
Narendra Modi must not see that a Canadian...
I dare the Conservatives to laugh again. I see they're not. Are you a child?
...leader is willing to turn a blind eye to crimes committed against Canadians. Every of this House must condemn India's interference, and there must be consequences for parliamentarians who contribute to it. did the Prime Minister directly urge the Conservative leader to apply for his security clearance?
He shouldn't have to, especially since Trudeau publicly said, I know of Conservative parliamentarians that are compromised. Well, now you've said it publicly. So now you can say the names.
The Honourable Minister of Public Safety. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister was very clear. We fundamentally believe that all party leaders in this House must have their security clearance appropriately so they can
Then why is it not a
learn what is
requirement?
needed to manage their parliamentary caucuses. And
Why is it not a requirement then? If this is so important, why is it not a requirement for leaders to have a security clearance?
understand the threats that Canadians are facing. And I applaud fully the feelings of the NDP leader in terms of condemning the government of India's interference, and I congratulate the work of the RCMP for their work, and I know that the investigation underway will prove to be trustworthy.
The honourable member from Thornhill.
After 9 years of this NDP
Melissa
Liberal
Lanson.
government, it seems that no part of Canadian life is safe from the finance minister's radical tax rampage. Not food, not home, not gas, and not even music. In response to new streaming taxes from this government, Spotify just announced that they're raising subscription fees by 15%.
Holy
Even the
shit.
simple things like kicking back and listening to your playlist isn't immune from this greedy government. When will the finance minister wake up, face the music, and finally admit that her new taxes and spending are not worth the cost?
But if you just get rid of Disney Plus, you'll be able to afford your groceries.
The honourable minister for Heritage.
Mr. Speaker, the Conservatives once again are making the talking points of platforms that are making millions in Canada, and they have done so for years.
So what? Raising the streaming service taxes isn't gonna fucking punish the streaming service. It's gonna punish the person streaming the music.
Like all Canadian companies, they contribute to our system, but this is not the first time that they've raised their subscriber prices. This time, when it comes to helping our Canadian artists, the Conservatives speak out against it. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm not really surprised, once again, that they're in the pockets of these digital giants.
Oh, fuck off. They're not talking about lowering the taxes to make it easier for Spotify. They're talking about trying to make things easier for Canadians. Are you deaf?
The honourable member from Thornhill.
Their hands are in the pockets of average Canadians. The finance minister told Canadians to cut Disney Plus, and she's probably going to tell them to cut their Spotify subscriptions too. They say that the taxes will fix climate change in the economy. They say that paying more taxes is going to lead Canadians to be better off, and all while they talk down to people. The carbon tax is up. The streaming tax is up. Capital gains taxes are up. And the finance minister missed her target by 17%. When will she admit that she has failed, axe the taxes, and let Canadians live their lives without their hands in Canadians' pockets?
Good question. Way to spin that back around on Christopher. Well done.
The honourable minister. Order.
They're not going to let her talk?
Order. The honourable minister for natural resources and energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Why
we
are
on
you
this side of the
talking?
House actually have a plan for a prosperous economic future for
Why are you talking? The question was for Christopher.
this country. The Conservatives, who continue to deny the existence of climate change, have a plan that leads backwards, not forwards. We are
They do not deny the existence of climate change. They deny the fact that printing money will fix climate change.
ensuring that things like the $12 billion Dow plant in Alberta is getting built, the $7 billion Jansen potash mine, electric vehicle and battery plants, hydrogen facilities in Nova Scotia and Newfoundland and Labrador. We have a plan for a future that is a great and prosperous future. They have no plan.
I am very angry. Ah! Why does he always do that? Like, always. He always starts off talking softly and calmly, and then he yells at the end of his...
The honourable member for Foothills.
Here are the consequences of the NDP Liberal plan. A new report shows that 35% of Alberta families are skipping meals because of high food costs.
35%. 35% of families are skipping meals. That's insane.
Yet, the Liberals and NDP tell Canadians they've never had it so good. But I'd like to remind the Prime Minister that his own parliamentary budget officer confirmed that Canadians are worse off paying the carbon tax. In fact, when the NDP Liberals quadruple the carbon tax, it will cost Alberta families $2,000 a year. Will the NDP Liberals just finally admit their carbon tax is a scam and call a carbon tax election?
The honourable minister for Families, Children and Social Development.
On this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, we continue to fight for Canadian families.
Where are you fighting for Canadian families? I'm sorry, seriously, where? Let me guess, you're going to talk about the CCB, right?
How do we do that, Mr. Speaker? One way is the Canada Child Benefit, Mr. Speaker. Families with children under the age of 6 can receive almost $7,800 each and every year per child, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, and then after they turn 7, it reduces by like half.
This is tangible support that arrives each and every month to help families afford the basics or whatever their child needs. This is how we fight on this side for Canadian families, Mr. Speaker.
They are afraid to let her talk loosely. Yep.
The honourable member from Foothills.
I'd like to give the minister some actual facts of what real Canadian families are facing. Fact, 35% of Alberta families are skipping meals because of high food costs. Fact, food bank usage in Mississauga is up 60%. Fact, doctors are warning about scurvy because Canadians can't afford nutritious food. Fact, food inflation in Canada is 37% higher than the United States.
37% higher. 37% higher than in the United States, and we share borders with them.
Fact, their own parliamentary budget officer admitted and confirmed the carbon tax is all pain, no gain. Fact, the NDP Liberal government can end the pain they're inflicting on Canadians if they call a carbon tax election. Will they do it?
Nope.
The Honourable Minister of Health.
Well, Mr. Speaker, cutting a check that low-income Canadians are getting, the vast majority of them, over 80%, are getting more than they pay, is not going to fix an issue like scurvy.
And printing money is going to fix an issue like climate change, right?
What's going to fix scurvy is certainly not cutting our health system. It's not getting rid of diabetes medication or getting rid of free dental care.
Nobody's getting rid of diabetes medication. They're not like abolishing insulin from the fucking country. They just don't think it should be a federal program to have it free. It should be a provincial program.
Not attacking the foundations of our health system, just as we're working with provinces and territories on solutions. Mr. Speaker, what is going to get it done in a time of global uncertainty is collaboration and working together, not nonsense slogans.
The honourable member for Bellechasse, Les Chemin-Lévis. Mr. Speaker, the numbers speak for themselves. A September survey from the Quebec Association of Real Estate Brokers shows that the median price of a single-family home in Quebec has reached $450,000, an increase of 74% in 5 years.
That's crazy. Quebec houses were usually pretty cheap. That's actually pretty insane.
First-time homebuyers now face an additional monthly expense of $1,055. In Saguenay, the purchase price has risen by $130,000, making home ownership even more difficult. What does the Bloc Liberal Coalition intend to do to help Quebecers? The Honourable Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities. Mr. Speaker, the question is very interesting. The member knows that we're investing to build affordable housing in Quebec and across the country. In Quebec, we're investing more than $9 million to build houses. It's interesting because the Conservative were against this program to build housing. When the Conservative leader
skipping French.
my colleagues
This
could
translator is terrible.
but it's not in the
Dinah Capel.
Oh, Andrew Scheer.
9 years of this NDP Liberal Prime Minister, Canadians are worse off. The effects of his deficits, his inflation, and his carbon tax hikes have been devastating. A new report by the Angus Reid Institute says that a majority of Canadians are struggling just to be able to buy food.
And the Angus Reid Institute is not biased. They are a very unbiased polling institute.
Of course, that's even worse for low-income households, with 2/3 of those Canadians saying they can't even afford to feed their families. Yeah. One way to lower food prices would be to axe the carbon tax on the farmer who grows the food, the trucker who ships the food, and the grocer who sells the food. The Prime Minister could do that today. Yeah. Will he show some compassion, lower food prices, and just axe the tax?
Nope. Because the more money we spend, the less fires there will be. Don't you know?
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources and Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Oh, look, he's starting off calm again. Let's see how long till he starts yelling.
Every day we see the Conservatives get up in this House and tell mistruths. 8 out of 10 Canadian families get more money back than they pay in the price on pollution. Of course, it is no surprise when you hear what their closest friends and allies have to say. Danielle Smith believes planes are spraying chemtrails.
Where did she say that? Where did she say that? I don't remember hearing her say that.
Jess Crosby says climate change is bogus. And John Rustad says fighting climate change is a plot to reduce the human population and force people to eat bugs.
Where did John Rustad say that?
Mr. Speaker, they say you can tell a lot about people from the company they keep. Well, Mr. Speaker, you certainly can.
What the fuck was that? So you're just attacking the character of people and lying about what they're saying because you have nothing. Is that what we're doing here? We're lying now about what's going on because we literally have nothing to say. Getting money back doesn't help anyone now. No, it doesn't. It doesn't help anyone at all. Okay, I need to quickly do a bathroom break and then we're gonna come back and finish this up. So I shall be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. I just had to go run and do a bathroom break and get my kid to go have a bath. So, yeah, getting money back doesn't help anybody anymore because it's all taxable anyway. Those tax credits, they're not tax credits. They're fucking taxable benefit thing. It's bullshit. It's absolute bullshit. Okay. Let's get back into this nonsense. This crazy, crazy nonsense.
Although the Honourable Minister did not make reference to a particular member, I encourage all members, please, to skate further away from the line, especially in regards to using that word. The Honourable Member, further away.
Wait, what word?
Well, Mr. Speaker, you certainly think fighting climate change is a plot to reduce the human population and force people to eat bugs. Mr. Speaker, they say you can tell a lot about people from the company they keep. Well, Mr. Speaker, you certainly can.
Make reference to a particular member. I encourage all members, please, to skate further away from the line, especially in regards to using that word.
Yep.
The Honourable Member. The Honourable Member from Regina Capel.
Obviously, the carbon tax scheme isn't making Canadians better off. Otherwise, 2/3 of low-income Canadians wouldn't be reporting that they can't afford to pay for groceries.
Yeah, like, how can you say that the tax is helping when people are literally saying to you, no, this is not helping me. I'm worse off than I was before. And they're like, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're fine. Everything is fine. Don't say that. You're completely fine. Everything there's nothing to worry about.
And they wouldn't be lining up at food banks or waiting hours to get rejected potatoes. The Parliamentary Budget Officer, the government's own watchdog, has concluded that when you factor in all the costs of the carbon tax, and remember, Canadians don't get to pick and choose which costs they pay, when you factor it all in, after they're done quadrupling the carbon tax, a family in Ontario will be $1,400 poorer, New Brunswick $1,000 poorer, Saskatchewan $2,000 poorer. So why not let the people decide in a carbon tax election?
The Honourable Minister for Natural Resources and Energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Look, the Parliamentary Budget Officer and 300 economists across this country have said that 8 out of 10 Canadian families get more money back, and it works directly.
Those economists you paid off, and the Parliamentary Budget Officer isn't saying that. So stop lying.
By taking away the price on pollution, you will actually make the most vulnerable more vulnerable. The Leader of the Opposition and his caucus know that, but certainly...
No, they don't. Because it's not true.
The Chair is having some difficulty hearing the answer of the Honourable Member. I'm going to ask the Honourable Minister to start from the top. I'm going to ask all members, please, I'm going to ask the Honourable Member from Foothills, please, to not speak when not recognized by the Chair.
Of course. It's a conservative
The Honourable
guy.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, but we know that the Conservative Party of Canada actually doesn't believe in the reality of climate change, nor do they have a plan for the economic future. They are no different from Mr. Rustad, who has endorsed the Leader of the Opposition, who says we should not be trying to fight climate change. The narrative about climate I can only put to the fact that somehow they think we need to reduce the world population. And many other candidates have essentially said we do not need to fight climate change. Well, Canadians know that climate change is real. Canadians know you need a plan for the future of the economy, and that is what is on this side of the House. Shame on you.
Wow. Didn't the Speaker just tell you not to do that? Even though you just because you're not naming members of that House doesn't mean you should be throwing shade at other people.
Order. I can take some slings and arrows, but I'm certain the honourable member wasn't referring to the Speaker. The honourable member from Dauphin, Swan River, Neepawa.
Mr. Speaker, after 9 years of NDP Liberals, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, and time is up.
That's right.
I recently visited a local food bank in Dauphin, Manitoba, where the volunteers told me they can't keep up with the increased demand. But this Prime Minister does not care, as he plans to quadruple the carbon tax and force Manitoba families to pay $1,300 in carbon taxes every single year.
Unbelievable.
Manitobans can't afford this costly carbon tax.
No.
So when will the Prime Minister give Canadians a choice and call a carbon tax election?
Never, because he's too
The honourable
scared.
minister for Families, Children and Social Development.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I recently had the opportunity to be in Manitoba and to speak with some parents about what they're facing there. I had the opportunity to announce alongside the Deputy Prime Minister that we've come to an agreement on our national school food program.
Oh boy! The 100-calorie food program that Christian was talking about? Yay!
That will see this school year, Mr. Speaker, over 19,000 more children receive food at school, over a $17 million commitment over 3 years. That's what we do on this side of the House to ensure that families are supported, Mr. Speaker.
That's nothing.
The honourable member from Port Moody, Coquitlam.
Mr. Speaker, flight attendants, who are predominantly women, work an average of 35 hours a month unpaid. Wow. Consecutive Liberal and Conservative governments have overlooked this issue for decades. Yeah. The big airline bosses are profiting off of unpaid labor of flight attendants. It's time for this exploitation to end. Today, I will be tabling a bill to end unpaid work for all flight attendants in Canada. Will this government support it?
What a nothing question. You're gonna make a bill for flight attendants? Okay.
The honourable minister for Seniors and Labour.
Mr. Speaker, Canadian airlines are, of course, private sector entities. The government sets a minimum standard and lets the hard work of collective bargaining take it from there. Flight attendants have a collective...
I think we need more carbon, not less. Does Justin know how CO2 works? No. No, he does not. Plants use it as fertilizer and exhale oxygen.
...agreement which sets out their hours
he doesn't
and their
understand
wages.
that.
And it's not my place to comment on it, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Rosemont-La Petite Patrie.
Skipping the friend.
For his international trade because they're politicians.
From Etobicoke Centre.
Mr. Speaker, recently I spoke in this House about the growth of radical far-right movements. They've organized disinformation campaigns, impacted how some people and politicians treat others, and have led some politicians to act against the best interests of Canadians.
Wow. You're actually gonna flat out say that shit? That's pretty impressive. Okay.
Our government has said that Canada will stand with the Ukrainian people until they win. Ukraine must win because their victory is essential to Canada's security.
Ukraine must win because we've sent all of our ammunition over there, and if they don't win, we're fucked.
There is a coordinated Russian campaign to spread disinformation, sow distrust, and encourage isolationism. Could the Minister of International Trade please share with us how Russian foreign interference is a threat to our support of Ukraine and to all Canadians?
The Honourable Minister for International Trade.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the member for Etobicoke Centre for his steadfast support for Ukraine. The Conservative leader's dismissal of Ukraine as a faraway land is shameful.
It is a faraway land. It quite literally is a faraway land. It is far away from Canada, and we are not part of the Ukraine.
Their willingness to appease far-right disinformation, often fueled by foreign actors like Russia, undermines democracy and the Canadian values. Canadians deserve leadership that stands firmly against these dangerous influences. While Conservatives abandon Ukraine, on this side of the House, we will keep supporting Ukraine until they win this war. Thank you.
So you're going to keep supporting Ukraine till we're out of bullets and money and armaments and soldiers and... Oh, good. Lovely.
Again, I'm going to remind all members, please, to not take the floor when they are not recognized by the chair, so that the chair can listen and all members can hear the questions and the answers. The honourable member from Haldimand, Norfolk.
After 9 years of the NDP Liberals, taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, and now time is up. At a time when Canadians are skipping meals and many are living paycheck to paycheck, the Liberals have siphoned $400 million of taxpayer money to contracts for their friends at the Green Slush Fund. The Liberal-appointed board has racked up at least 186 conflict of interest. When will this government end the cover-up so that this House can get back to helping Canadians deal with the cost of living crisis that they create?
They won't. They want to distract from the cost of living crisis they created.
The Honourable Minister of Innovation.
Disappointing, Mr. Speaker. After 9 years, the same slogan, Mr. Speaker. The same time of disinformation. The same time of false accusation. Mr. Speaker, it's...
I'm sorry. They're making false accusations? Have you been listening to what's been being said from the Liberal Party?
Time to get real. The Conservatives know very well that we acted timely to dissolve that organization, Mr. Speaker. The board has resigned, the CEO has resigned, and the organization no longer exists. We made a solemn promise to Canadians was to go to the bottom of this. That's what we did, Mr. Speaker, and they should let this House do the important work is to work for Canadians instead of filibustering their own motion, Mr. Speaker. It's shameful what they're doing.
Very good! Oh my God. Does she not understand how condescending it is when she does that? Very good!
Order. The honourable member from Haldimand, Norfolk.
Mr. Speaker, what is shameful is cover-up. This Liberal government is still in contempt of Parliament by refusing to turn over the documents that could certainly reveal the depths of their corruption at the Green Slush Fund. So now they have paralyzed Parliament in order to hide their scandal. Meanwhile, Canadians are suffering through unprecedented food, crime, and housing crisis that they created. Will they finally turn over the documents today and give Canadians the answers that they deserve?
That's right. The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. What my honourable colleague is saying is false. The government has handed over thousands of documents, just done so in a way that protects the charter rights of Canadians.
Oh, fuck off. The charter rights. She may as well pat him on the head. I know, right? Oh my God, it's so condescending and rude.
What is true, Mr. Speaker, is that the Conservatives are filibustering their own motion because they don't want to respect your ruling, which asked that this unprecedented motion would go to committee. Mr. Speaker, I think there's only one thing the Conservatives are afraid of. They don't want this House to get to work because they know that if there's another confidence motion, the Conservative leader will lose it. Thank you.
The Conservative leader will lose. No. Using that logic, we should forgive 40s Germany for all of their crimes since it's no longer a thing. Right?
Mr. Speaker. There you go. Here.
The Honourable Member from Barrie Innisfil.
Well, after 9 years of this NDP Liberal coalition, taxes, costs, and crime are all up, and now their time is up. After Liberal-appointed board members of SDTC were caught funneling $400 million tax dollars to 186 of their companies, Why won't the NDP Liberals end the cover-up today by releasing the documents as Parliament ordered and that you agreed with, Mr. Speaker, so that there can be accountability for the obvious corruption and potential crimes that have taken place under this costly coalition?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Oh, what's she gonna say? Is this false too?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The truth is, your ruling was to send this matter to committee for further study.
Why doesn't the Speaker just stand up and be like, actually, my ruling was?
Because it was unprecedented what the Conservatives were asking for. Mr. Speaker, we agree with your ruling. It is only the Conservatives who are obstructing their own obstruction because they don't want the truth to come out, which is that they are trying to abuse the extraordinary privileges they have to override the rights of Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
That's not true.
The Honourable Member from Barrie Innisfil.
Well, the truth is that there is more proof there that these Liberals are not worth the cost, the crime, and the corruption. Here are the facts. 186 conflicts of interest took place. 400 million tax dollars were funneled to the companies of Liberal-appointed board members. You, Mr. Speaker, ruled that the evidence needs to be handed over unredacted as Parliament has demanded.
Yep. All of those things are true. But Karina Gould is going to sit there and go, no, that's false, Mr. Speaker, that's false.
Why are the NDP Liberals not releasing the documents? What and who are they covering up for?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
I love how they've just decided not to let Chrystia Freeland talk anymore today.
It's typical for the Conservatives to omit the facts that are inconvenient to them, because the fact of the matter is that we have provided thousands of pages of documents already, that we are respecting your ruling, which is to send this matter to committee for further study, because I think, as all Canadians would appreciate and expect, they expect that police follow due process. They expect that parliamentarians support their rights. They would expect that parliamentarians don't try to abuse their extraordinary powers to go after their own partisan vendettas and attack Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Good.
That's right. Good answer. Oh my God. Good answer, Karina. Well done. Good girl. Oh my God, she's so rude.
The Honourable Member for Rivière du Nord. Like Mr. Speaker, open that and the RCMP believe that the Bloc Québécois
government's
supporting the federal government in this.
The Honourable Member from Leeds Grenville, Thousand Islands and Rideau Lakes.
In another conflict of interest involving this Liberal government's de facto finance minister, we found out that he's been caught using his access to lobby governments to benefit himself and his company. It's carbon tax Carney's heat pump hustle. And he's claiming it's green policy, but his only policy is to line his pockets with green. And this Prime Minister is shielding him from Canada's conflict of interest laws and lobbying regulations after 9 years of these NDP Liberals. Taxes are up, costs are up, crime is up, and time is up. Will they just have carbon tax Carney testify at committee?
Nope, because then he'll say things that are damning to them. All of the opposition voted for it, not just the Conservatives. Yes. This ain't family feud, you twat. Right?
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, the Conservatives, when they have Canadians that oppose their policies, all they know how to do is attack them. Instead of...
I'm sorry. You guys just spent a whole bunch of time attacking Conservative premiers about 10 minutes ago.
Respecting people and their differences of opinions, they go after them personally. Mr. Speaker, that's not how leaders in this country should act. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member from Leeds Grenville, Thousand Islands and Rideau Lakes.
Well, I can assure the member opposite that Canadians take it personally, that every time that they're given the opportunity, they don't help out Canadians, but instead help out well-connected Liberal insiders like Mark Carney with his heat heat pump hustle. Carbon tax, Carney. Conflict of interest, Carney. It's stacking up in such a way that we can't even keep track of all the scandals involving the de facto finance minister when the Prime Minister lost confidence in the finance minister. So now Canadians want answers about the access that carbon tax Carney has been given and all the Canadian tax dollars that he's lining his pockets with. Will they just instruct the de facto finance minister to testify at committee?
They're not going to bring him to committee. They're just not. Because if they do, the Conservative lawyers are going to drag him through the coals, and he is going to end up saying something that's just going to damn them even more.
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Mr. Speaker, again, there they go attacking private citizens, and it just goes to show anytime
there they go
Canadian
attacking us
citizens
again.
rise up against them, what do? They go on the personal attack. But Mr. Speaker,
They're the ones on the personal attack. Oh, okay. Okay. Yes, they're the ones going on the attack. When under oath, yes.
I have a question for the Conservatives and the Conservative.
And they're the
leader.
ones who attack
Why will
the
he
character of premiers that aren't there to defend themselves.
security clearance, Mr. Speaker. It's a question Canadians across this country are asking because they want to know what and who is he trying to protect. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Oh.
The Honourable Member from Bay of Quinte.
Mr. Speaker, after 9 years of this government, we have taxes up, we have costs up, times up, and credit card fees are up. And this government announced that they lowered credit fees, but this announcement flopped like a soggy pancake. Stripe, where Liberal leadership candidate Mark Carney sits on the board, said savings won't be passed on to consumers because of other rising costs.
Mark Carney's on the board of Stripe? Well, that's just interesting.
Wow, even Liberal insiders tied to oligopolies know that this government's announcements fall flat. When will these governments learn? It's not Carney Canadians need, it's competition. And a Prime Minister who will flip real results for Canadians and their families.
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Mr. Speaker, the question on Canadians' minds this week is why will the leader of the opposition...
Did you sign the letter? That's funny.
...position not get his security clearance? That's right. Mr. Speaker, every Canadian is wondering, what is it that he is trying to hide?
No, not every Canadian. Most Canadians understand why he's not getting his clearance. The rest of them, I don't have it.
What is it that he is trying to protect? It's an easy thing to do. All the other leaders in this place have done it. Why won't the leader of the opposition...
Because he doesn't want to be muzzled by the CSIS Act, obviously. That's why he hasn't done it. That's a very obvious reason.
Get his security clearance.
Good question, Karina. Good girl. Good doggy.
I would invite all members not to speak unless they receive the floor from the Speaker. I know that the member for Mégantic-l'Érable understands. I would invite all members.
From Brampton South.
Mr. Speaker, the events of the past year and the announcement last week have shaken many Canadians, particularly those in Indo-Canadians and Sikh communities. Canada is a country rooted in the rule of law. The safety and security of our citizens is a top priority of our government. Can the Minister of Foreign Affairs update this House on the additional steps our government took to protect Canadians?
She had to practice that. I don't want to sound racist, but she had to practice that.
The Honourable Minister for Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, of course I will. As I mentioned since the beginning, we have 3 priorities. First, seek the truth. Second, make sure that we protect Canadians. And thirdly, defend Canada's sovereignty. Based on information provided by the RCMP, we asked India to lift the diplomatic immunity on 6 of their diplomats. Unfortunately, India refused. And so, therefore,
as the past NDP leader, he said it clearly.
Since Canadian safety was at risk, I decided to expel them from Canada.
Hey, Jordan! No, Trudeau has clearance, but Poilievre does not have clearance, and Trudeau has lied and said that there are Conservative members of the of Parliament who are compromised by foreign interference, and he won't release those names. And he keeps saying, "Oh well, Poilievre should just get clearance for Poilievre should just get clearance so he can know who the names are."
Canada. Let me be clear, Canada doesn't seek diplomatic confrontation with India, but of course we won't sit idle with this information. Thank you.
L'honorable député de Charlebourg.
The minute
skipping French.
Badly saying on several off with government on theory for a forestry industry in Quebec.
The honourable member from Surrey Newton.
Mr. Speaker, we have seen a rise in serious crimes targeting Sikh Canadians and the South Asian community, leaving many Canadians feeling anxious and unsafe. Last week, the RCMP confirmed that the agents of Government of India have been involved in these crimes. Can the Minister of Public Safety please explain how the government is taking steps to ensure that all Canadians can feel safe in their communities?
The Honourable Minister.
Again, a softball question.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank our colleague from Surrey Newton for that question. He's right. Last week, the RCMP took the unprecedented step to share with Canadians information about a significant public safety threat. The alleged actions are a grave violation of Canada's sovereignty and the rule of law. We stand with the Sikh community, the South Asian community, in terms of assuring their safety. I want to thank all of those involved in this complex investigation. The RCMP, their partners in provincial and municipal police have done...
Yeah, we should be thanking them. Yeah.
Terrific work. Our priority is always the safety of all Canadians, and the RCMP will work with us to continue to assure that.
The honourable member from Windsor West.
Mr. Speaker, the multi-billion-dollar telecom company Rogers says that their latest price hike is the result of increasing cost of technology. Canadians aren't buying it, but they're paying for it.
Yep.
They were misled, and this is another ploy to get ripped off by Rogers, who just gouged out record profits.
Well, it's Rogers. What else do you expect? It's Rogers. Like, come on. Rogers is always gouging people.
Now, the Conservatives won't stop Rogers from gouging Canadians. They won't risk losing their maximum donations they receive from the company's owner. And the Liberals keep handing out millions of taxpayer dollars to Rogers, who is gouging those same taxpayers. Why do the Liberals, like the Conservatives, ratchet up corporate greed at the expense of Canadians? Why won't they stand up to Rogers?
The Honourable Minister for Innovation.
A lot of members here will take lessons from the NDP about standing up for what's right, Mr. Speaker.
Oh! Wow! So yeah, it looks like India has been really badly messing around in Canada's politics. They've killed at least one Sikh activist. It's bad. It's very messy. Trudeau didn't help the situation because he is not a leader, and when he went and spoke to Modi about it, Modi was just like, yeah, whatever. and then did whatever he wanted to do after the meeting was over. So yeah, it's a shit show right now with India and Canada.
Side of the House, we stand up for Canadians. We stood up to Rogers. We said no to their proposed merger, Mr. Speaker. We imposed the harshest condition in our nation history in a telecom, Mr. Speaker.
That's right.
We're always on the...
There's a process, and I bet that he would get it if it was easy. See, the thing is that it's not just that it's not about it being hard or easy. It's if he gets this clearance, then he can't talk about what he learns, and he can't hold the government to account publicly for it.
Side of consumers, Mr. Speaker, we want more competition in this country, more choice for consumer, and lower price for Canadians. Canadians know we'll always stand up for them, and I think everyone should take a lesson from us in this House, Mr. Speaker.
Everyone should take a lesson from us. Yes, suck your own dick.
We'll always stand up for them, and I think everyone should take a lesson from us in this House, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah! That was Chrystia Freeland.
And
oh
I
my
think
God.
everyone should take a lesson
Listen
from
to
us in
this.
this House, Mr. Speaker.
Is she all right? Like, seriously, is she okay? I really would like to know if she's okay.
Alors, order. The honourable member from Kitchener Centre.
Mr. Speaker, last week an IDF missile strike burned Palestinians alive at a hospital tent camp.
Yeah, because Hamas wouldn't let them leave. Yeah, everybody fails to say that part. Hamas wouldn't let them leave.
This escalation of what the University Network for Human Rights has called a genocide only emboldens Hamas and does nothing to return hostages. Canada's focus must be on achieving peace, including a true arms embargo, advocating for Israel to allow humanitarian relief in, and for an end to the occupation of Palestinian territories. When will this government's actions align with their words when they say never again?
Well, okay, but again, Hamas wouldn't let the Palestinians leave. That's not Israel's fault. That's Hamas's fault.
The Honourable Minister for Foreign Affairs.
Speaker, the situation in Gaza is absolutely catastrophic. Too many innocent children, women, people have died. And so that is why we need the violence to stop. We need a ceasefire that is...
We need a ceasefire. Yeah, okay, well, tell Hamas that.
Supported by the UN Security Council, including the US. We need hostages to come back home. Their family needs to be able to see them, to love them. And in the end, we need more humanitarian aid going into Gaza. And this government works on this every single day.
Is she like... Does she think she's at a beauty pageant right now? That was a beauty pageant answer. That was literally a how do you think the world needs to change beauty pageant answer. That's what that was.
Thank you.
Good job.
Standing on a point of order, the honourable member from Burnaby South.
Oh my God. So that's the end of question period. That we got all the way to the end of question period. We don't get to hear what the point of order is because they always pause it. But that was an eventful day back. I would have liked to see Trudeau there, but of course, you know, that would mean he actually has to work. Let's see. Human shields. Yep. Let's see. I bet 1/3 of those you call innocent heavily support the terrorists. No, I get it, Jordan. I get it. Oh, I know what you meant. I know what you meant, Jordan. No, it's very annoying to hear Western countries just sit there and be like, "Oh, I'm so angry about what's going on in Gaza." It's like, you don't understand what's going on in Gaza. You don't understand. Like, do you think Israel just sits there and you think the IDF is doing like what Legolas and Gimli did with the orcs, counting off Palestinians that they killed? Like, this is... Ugh. I hate when Western countries try to put themselves in wars that they have no stake in. It drives me insane. It drives me absolutely insane. Oh, I am so annoyed with that nonsense. People don't want to realize the Middle East has been war-torn since long before my ancestors were kings. Yep. That's true. That's absolutely true. I just can't believe the amount of bullshit. Just the amount of bullshit that's been sent back and forth and said by these stupid people who have nothing to do with what's going on in the Middle East. They've got no skin in the game. Yet they pretend that they do. Let's see. I don't think there's been peace in the Middle East since 8000 BC. You're probably right there, Cannibalistic. You're probably right there. I don't really remember the last, I don't ever remember hearing it was peaceful in the Middle East. Let's see. Let's see here.
So that funnel is spill-proof.
Oh, good?
To a point.
Good?
No, not good.
Not good?
No, because when your radiator starts blasting back the coolant that's in it because there's something, because it can't burp, but it wants to burp, so the air is, so the coolant, see, coolant is a finicky little fucker, okay?
Okay.
It expands by like twice its fucking volume.
Oh.
When it heats up.
Oh.
Yeah. It's hilarious, really. You swear it does, but that just puts, it's supposed to put pressure on the system, and then whatever expansion is there in the coolant, this is why I use premix instead of I mixing my own.
Yeah.
But it's expensive, but hey. So what happens is, as it expands, it goes into the reservoir tank. That thing I'm always talking about. Jeez, why is that the thing that's always filling up? So I think that thermostat's fucked.
The one you
The
just...
new thermostat.
The one you
I think the new thermostat is fucked.
I was going to say, the one you just replaced?
Mm-hmm. you, Dorman?
Oh, that's frustrating. That's frustrating. So, I have set a goal for the GoFundMe for the publishing, for the self-publishing. Oh, that is even more annoying. But the what's it called? The GoFundMe for the book, the publishing of the book. I'm aiming to be halfway to the full goal by the end of November. So, if anybody wants to share the GoFundMe, I'm gonna. It's posted on my Twitter. Because I really want to get this published so I can start getting copies put out, so I can start with the Audible production. And so I can start writing the second book. Ooh, now I smell like burning. I don't get why they can't just live together and respect each other. And it's also sad because I love Middle Eastern food like falafel. Why they can't get along with each other and respect each other? Because one religion's text says to kill the other religion. That's why. Literally, Jordan. That's why. One religious text says, my religion is king, all other religions must go. That is why they can't live together and respect each other. That is why. Yeah. Both sides, gods won't allow them to. Yes, basically, yes. Yes, Yahweh and Allah, although they are basically the same person, refuse to let them get along and live in peace. That's it. That's literally it. That is literally the only reason. Technically, both of them say it. Yeah, that's true. The Talmud would, I think not the Torah, but the Talmud probably says it somewhere. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting situation. Oh, he just replaced the thermostat, Jordan. That's why he's pissed. Because he literally, over the summer, he replaced the thermostat. Because he thought that replacing the thermostat would fix the issue. And it didn't. So yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go get the link from my Twitter and post it in chat so you guys can share it. I'm at $310 of the GoFundMe right now. And I'm trying to get to $2,500 by the end of November so I can start with the publishing process. Let's get the link here. Where am I here? Where is that link? Oh yeah! The first lead singer of Iron Maiden died. That's the sad news that I meant to talk about. Where is that link? Oh my god. Did I really put it all the way down at the bottom of this morning's tweets? Holy Nikes. There it is. There's the link I need. So yeah, we're at $310 raised to $5,000, and my goal is to be at $2,500 by the end of November. So if you guys could please share this link far and wide so that Shadows of Mercy can become an actual book, that would be awesome. I am the Brute Squad. Fun part about being a big guy, everyone thought Fessick was a mean giant too. No, Fessick was an awesome giant. Fessick was the best. Fessick was the shit. Oh. So yeah, this is... I'm probably not going to be going for much longer because I am getting tired and I've been awake since 1:40 this morning. And I need to get the kids to sleep because they're sick. But yeah, I am... I'm glad that we covered question period today. I'll be back tomorrow with more question period, more videos and all that stuff. I'm not going to do a Glasside Gaming tonight because I need to go to bed and get some sleep. But I will be back tomorrow. Yes?
The one thing is, that's the problem, Jordan. I had to teach Talia this, or Blind Press this as well. You can't just judge people based upon that. Sometimes you can hit the nail on the head, but other times you end up mischaracterizing and misjudging someone based upon, a bad time. This is a job that this van, I'm about to reach 600,000 kilometers on it. I've driven 100,000 kilometers a year. And I just went to get a new van last week. And the interest rates and pricing on it is so out to lunch that after all is said and done, the $23,000 van would cost me $46,000. If you had this problem, you would be angry too.
Yes.
It's a hot day. It's an angry day. And I have to deal with morons and idiots everywhere I go. Have a good day!
Alright, but I am going to, like I said, it's going to be a short stream tonight. I'm going to end here. Get the boys ready for bed. I'm going to head out. Thank you for watching and chilling out with me. Please copy the link. Please copy the link in the chat and share the GoFundMe everywhere you can. And if you are able to, I would love if you could send in a donation, anything like even $5-10, just to help get to the publishing goal. Because I need 1,700 plus tax for the publishing goal. So that's why I'm aiming for 2,500 by the end of November. So please, like I said, share the link everywhere you can. Have a wonderful night. I will be back tomorrow with more live streaming, more videos, and we will actually do a Glasside Gaming tomorrow night at 9. So thank you for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye, everyone.